I know the Kirby games have this reputation of being very easy, and for the most part they are, but trust me, there is so much more to this franchise than easy and cutesy games. My first experience with Kirby was playing Smash 64 on my Wii console through the Virtual Console, and while I found him to be cute, it wasn't what got me into the series. That honor goes to Game Grumps playing Superstar on the Super Nintendo. I fell in love with the vibes of this game, and hell, it's not just one game, it's multiple games in one, including a remake of the original Kirby game for the Game Boy. This game is spectacular. If you've never played Kirby, the basics of most of the games are that they're straightforward 2D platformers, but with the unique quirk of being able to suck things up and shoot them out. You can also float around and it looks adorable. But we also have the copy ability, which is the real fun. Each ability changes Kirby's look and adds multiple attacks that can change depending on the directional input. These are always so much fun to experiment with, and figuring out which ones you like best is always fun. Some abilities are needed to progress, whether it's cutting something down or lighting a fuse, and other abilities can take you to optional areas, giving you reasons to re-explore familiar spots. The games always pick up the difficulty towards the end and can get somewhat challenging, and some games give you post-game challenges that really test your skills. Superstar also comes with a bunch of extra mini-games you can play with a friend or versus a CPU, and speaking of playing with a friend, most Kirby games are co-op compatible. In Superstar you can use the copy ability and create a CPU ally that follows you around. If you're playing with a friend though, that ally will become the second player. It's such a fun and unique way of doing two-player modes. This game is spectacular, I just adore it so much. Getting the food that King Dedede stole back to the people, stopping Meta Knight's plan to take over the world, exploring the Great Cave Offensive and trying to find all the hidden items, stopping Dynabird's rampage, and the final game, Milky Way Wishes, with its iconic and creepy final boss. In fact, a lot of the times the final bosses in Kirby games are creepy and dark, and I love it. They tend to feel really otherworldly, and it makes your adventure feel a lot more important as a whole. Sometime later I got Kirby's Dream Course, which I also tried because of Game Grumps. I watched them a lot. Anyways, this game is just so charming. It's this isometric golf-esque game where you try to shoot Kirby into a hole after getting all the stars on the stage. You can also get a bunch of different power-ups which help you out on your journey, but where the real fun begins is in the versus mode, where you can compete against a friend and try to get the most stars. Once all stars are obtained on a stage, the exit opens up, but you can steal stars from your friend to gain the advantage. It's such a solid title, I can easily recommend it. It was back in high school when I played that game, and many years passed until I got interested in the series again. I was feeling nostalgic about Superstar, and then I realized there was a remake, Kirby Superstar Ultra, which adds more content, CG cutscenes, and updates all the pixel art. It was such an amazing way to get back into the series, and I spent many hours unlocking the different modes. It adds to the story and shows us more of King Dedede's growth after his defeat in the first game, and I really just love it. And so I ended up buying more games. The big one for me was Kirby 64, which if you're familiar with, you'd realize that that's what I based the intro animation on. This game is just so spectacular. I know some people don't like it because it's a bit slow. I can see where they're coming from, but it's just so charming. It's such a unique platformer. It's actually a sequel to Dreamland 3 on the Super Nintendo, which I don't own since it never released in PAL regions, but I did play it on my Switch. Anyways, Kirby 64 starts with planet Ripple Star being taken over by darkness, and Ribbon is sent off the planet with the crystal to keep it safe, otherwise everything is doomed. But it gets smashed into pieces. Thankfully she meets our friend Kirby, who goes to help her, gathering up his crew of friends from prior games to help her gather the Crystal Shards and save her planet. I adore how King Dedede pretends that he doesn't want to join, but then he kinda begrudgingly does anyways. It's such a cute moment. One awesome part of the game is how each power-up can be doubled up, forming a new, more powerful version. But you can also mix and match every single power-up in the game, making for a total of 35 abilities. And because of that, there's just so much to mess around with. There are a few power-ups that are a little boring, but most of them are really fun. My favorite might be this drill. It's not the best ability in the game, but I love how it jets you forward horizontally and just lets you pass through some blocks. There's so many unique ideas and fun little puzzles, like this one part where you have to use a light bulb ability to see what Adeline is drawing. I also have to mention the boss fight where Adeline becomes possessed and then she starts painting the enemies and then they come out of the painting to fight you. It's just delightful. There's a sort of creepy overtone to this game that I really enjoy. And of course Shiver Star just being Earth but, you know, dead and frozen is unsettling in the best kind of way. Also, the music is just so fantastic. I can't gush about it enough. The boss bosses are pretty enjoyable, and that true final boss is just too good. Trust me, this game is worth it. To get the true ending, you have to collect all the Crystal Shards, and if you don't get them, you get a kind of fun and creepy bad ending. A lot of the Kirby games have a true final boss like this, and most of the time going for that true final boss is such a fun task that I just love doing it. After this, I got Kirby's Adventure, a pretty late released NES game, and the first to have copy abilities. It's awesome to see how far they can push the console. The game looks and feels great. The story is simple but sweet, and it's the debut of Meta Knight. There's a bunch of mini games and a bunch of little secrets, and honestly, this game is just phenomenal. I also got my hands on Kirby's Tilt and Tumble. Well, I got the Japanese version because it's way cheaper. The Japanese version is called Koro Koro Kirby. This is a very charming game. You tilt the console to move Kirby and press a button to jump. It's simple but satisfying. It's the kind of game I like picking up every now and then and just messing around with because the controls are so nice to use. The tilt just feels perfect, and I don't expect anything less from a Kirby game. Another great spin-off is Kirby's Air Ride, where you can do two different types of races, either third person or top down on this little stage. The controls are very simple, just focus on turning left and right. You move forward automatically. You hold down the A button to slow down, and if you do it while turning, you get a nice satisfying drift which will boost you forward. Of course, there's the iconic city trial, where you spend a certain amount of time building up power-ups to make yourself as strong as possible before you take on challenges where your power-ups will help you out. There's also a bunch of different boards to find. This city is so iconic. Me and a friend of mine spent hours just riding around and having fun exploring. I'd love to see this game get a sequel. And the last Kirby game I've played is The Forgotten Lands. And honestly, this game is so fucking good. The first proper 3D platformer in the Kirby series, and the new mouthful modes where you inhale and control large objects is so fun. I thought it would feel gimmicky, but it feels like a nice extension of Kirby's basic abilities. I especially love the driving one. Sometimes they get you to do little races to earn extra stuff, and it's just so addicting. Exploring this new and unfamiliar world and helping the Waddle Dees rebuild their cute little town is awesome. You even get a house of your own, and you can collect and display little figures. There's crazy, creepy, universe-ending threats as always, and the story is one of the best in the series. You also get a lot of the classic abilities returning, but this time you can also upgrade them, making them more powerful and changing the way they look. There's minigames, challenge runs, secrets, and more. This game also has a really good post-game. It's spectacular and well worth a try. I'm so glad I got back into this series because it's awesome, and hopefully you found a new game to play or just gained more appreciation for this little pink puffball. And that's all I got for you this time. Thanks for watching.